The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. After the Transfiguration, as Jesus and his disciples were coming down the mountain, the disciples asked Jesus, "Why then do the scribes say that Elijah must come first?" He replied, "Elijah is indeed coming and will restore all things. But I tell you that Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but they did to him whatever they pleased. So also the Son of Man is about to suffer at their hands." Then the disciples understood that Jesus was speaking to them about John the Baptist. The Gospel of the Lord. In our readings today, three great figures are interrelated. We have Elijah, John the Baptist, and Jesus Christ. We begin with Elijah. A brief history is given in the first reading from Sirach chapter 48, his great exploits. He faced a wicked king, Ahab, and his wife Jezebel, the 450 prophets on Mount Carmel, and defeated them all, proclaimed God's glory. He was a prophet like fire, and his word burned like a torch. He brought famine upon the people. He shut up the heavens and also 3 times brought down fire, and finally was taken up in a fiery chariot into heaven. Now, with this great glory, the greatest of the prophets, we have also in the Old Testament last book, Malachi, who was also a prophet. He speaks about Elijah. Actually, God speaking through Malachi says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and terrible day of the Lord. He will turn hearts of parents to their children and children to their parents." That prophecy, as Jesus now is telling us in today's Gospel from Matthew chapter 17, is fulfilled. And Jesus explains this as he comes down the Mount of Transfiguration with his disciples, Peter, James, and John, because they've just seen Elijah with Jesus on the Mount and Moses, and they're speaking about a new Exodus. And as they come down the mountain, the disciples are curious, and they ask about this. And Jesus replies, "Elijah is indeed coming and will restore all things, but I tell you that Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but did to him whatever they pleased. So also the Son of Man is about to suffer at their hands." So now Jesus is saying he's the fulfillment of all the Old Testament prophets. He is the Son of Man prefigured by the book of Daniel in chapter 7. Now, how does this apply to us? If you remember, at the end of Elijah's ministry, just before he was taken up in the fiery chariot to heaven, he threw his mantle around the shoulders of his successor, Elisha, to continue his ministry and his power. And Elisha also is a great prophet. So also Jesus now, before he ascends to heaven, puts his mantle of divine power and mission on the apostles at the beginning of the book of Acts and on us. Notice what happened. After the ascension of Jesus, we have Pentecost. The fire comes down on the apostles, and they're now like Elijah and John the Baptist. They're fiery, they're bold, and they preach, and there's lots of conversions, thousands. We have, as the church, this ministry to restore all things. And we have the Holy Spirit living in us through baptism. And we're called to continue this mission in the new evangelization. We need help, and so the responsorial psalmist gives us the prayer, "Let your hand be upon the one at your right hand, the one whom you made strong for yourself. Then we will never turn back from you. Give us life, and we will call upon your name. Lord, let us see your face, and we shall be saved." Finally, we can also take up the acclamation from Luke chapter 3, just before the proclamation of today's gospel. "Prepare the way of the Lord, make straight his paths. All people shall see the salvation of God." That's how this whole set of readings relates. These three great figures are now giving their ministry to us. Let us ask the Lord to empower us each day as we come before him in prayer. We're going to receive the Eucharist, which is, as St. Ignatius of Antioch said, fire and spirit. Let us be emboldened then to carry on this ministry and prepare for the second coming of Christ, which is one of the great themes of the season of Advent.